My daughter dressed exactly like her strict teacher, and the whole hallway lost it fast. I didn't think a Halloween costume could get my kid dragged to the office, but it did. When Zoe's middle school announced costume day, she went secretive. She kept saying, "Don't look, it'll ruin it." On Halloween morning, she walked out with a huge duffel bag and said she needed to get there early. I was rushing, so I let it slide. At 10:30, my phone rang, and I saw the school number. The principal, Mrs. Reyes, said, "Mr. Davis, you need to come in right now. It's about Zoe's costume." I canceled everything and drove straight to Lincoln Middle. When I walked into the front office, Zoe was on the bench, calm, like she was waiting for applause. Then I saw her and I just stopped. She wasn't a witch or a zombie. She was Mr. Peterson, her history teacher, down to the tiniest detail. Tweed jacket with elbow patches, crimson bow tie, wire rim glasses, and a bald cap with the exact horseshoe patch of hair he has. She even copied his disappointed lean, like he's about to say your name. Next to her was a cardboard detention list she'd made, and her own name was starred at the top. Before I could ask what happened, Zoe dropped into his voice and said to a kid walking by, "Pop quiz, sit up straight." The kid froze. A few kids snickered behind him. Mrs. Reyes said, "She's been doing the impression all morning." She pointed down the hall. She stopped students and gave them pop quizzes. She told some kids they were failing. 3 of them cried. She wrote, "See me after class" on a locker. Zoe shrugged like it was all part of the fun. Mr. Peterson stepped forward with his phone in his hand. His face was red, but he wasn't shouting. "They filmed her," he said. "It's all over the school." He showed me clip after clip. Zoe pointing like a teacher. Zoe scolding someone for whispering. Zoe holding up her fake list like she'd won something. Mr. Peterson looked at me, not angry, just hurt. "I've taught for 26 years, he said. "I've never had a student mock me this thoroughly." I turned to Zoe and kept my voice steady. "Why would you do this?" Zoe said, "It's Halloween. People dress as scary stuff. He's strict. It's funny." The room went quiet. Mrs. Reyes said Zoe was suspended for 3 days. Zoe's eyes widened. "For a costume?" she said. Mr. Peterson spoke again, still calm, but his voice shook. "At my last school, students targeted me. They posted things about me online. It got so bad I transferred. This feels like that again." Zoe blinked like she didn't know what to do with that. In the car, she kept repeating, "I didn't know. I didn't mean it like that." I said, "You still did it." She snapped, "But last year a girl dressed as Mrs. Reyes and everyone laughed." "Mrs. Reyes laughed too." I asked, "Did she ask first?" Zoe stared out the window. I asked, "Did you ask Mr. Peterson?" Silence. At home, I didn't yell. I sat Zoe down and said, "Walk me through everything you did today." At first, she talked fast and defensive. Then she heard herself. "I did his walk. I did his voice. I told kids they were failing. I wrote on lockers. I made a detention list." Her face got hot, and she started blinking hard. I said, "If the other person feels small, it isn't funny anymore." That night, she couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard the kitchen chair scrape. Zoe was at the table with paper and markers scattered everywhere. She didn't look proud now. She looked scared and serious. "I'm writing him a letter," she said. She wrote slow, crossed things out, and started again. Her hands were shaking. At the bottom, she drew a row of little bow ties and wrote, "These aren't a joke. They're actually really cool." The next morning, she poured her allowance into her palm and said, "I want to give him a real bow tie." We went to a store and she picked a navy one with tiny gold stars. She put it in a gift bag with the letter. When her suspension ended, I drove her to school and she got out gripping both like they might fall apart. I stayed in the car and watched her in the hallway. Mr. Peterson was at his classroom door. Zoe waited until he looked at her, then stepped closer. Her voice came out small. "Mr. Peterson, can I talk to you?" He turned fully toward her, expression flat. Zoe held out the letter with both hands. "I'm sorry for what I did. I thought it was funny, but I was wrong." He took the paper and read it right there while students streamed past and stared. Zoe stood still, breathing fast. His face stayed neutral as his eyes moved down the page. When he reached the end, he paused, folded the letter carefully, and slid it into his jacket pocket. Zoe swallowed and held out the gift bag. Mr. Peterson opened it, saw the bow tie, and his shoulders loosened just a little. He looked at Zoe and said low, "Words matter, but so does what you do next. Stay after class. You're helping me fix the timeline display." Zoe nodded hard and walked into the room. "Now everyone is saying I embarrassed my daughter. Was I wrong here?"